Welcome to Piccadilly. But how's the track doing? Stay tuned and all will be revealed. Well, this is a strange one. Welcome to Piccadilly. This is my N-gauge layout based around the mainline terminus of Manchester Piccadilly. Now that is a shortened version. It is not quite to scale, but it's not far off. It probably needs another foot on the end of those canopies, but there we are. And we've got dinting just here, which has been slightly modified to suit the track layout, and the burnt out building there, which has always been a fascination of mine. And we've got Torvale Mill just there. And coming around here, we've got New Mill Central, just there. And we're sweeping around here. We've got there Hatfield, strangely with a tanker sitting in the platform. Don't ask, I don't know. And this is a bridge that I'm sort of made. It all comes off, by the way. And then coming around up here, we've got Glossop at the top there, with the B&M behind, just there. And then more recently, we've got a bus terminal, Piccadilly Gardens, which is kind of loosely based there. And strangely, we've got a bus that's sitting on the fence. These weird things, I've no idea how this has happened, but there we go. So that is a very brief look around of the layout. If you do want something a little bit more detailed, just put it in the comments and we'll see how many want it. Now, as we've had such well, I think it's glorious weather, to be honest. I know some people don't like it, but the point is it can have an effect on the track. And I'm looking round now just to see if there are any parts which have buckled. Now, this bit happened probably a couple of years ago now, I'm ashamed to say, and I haven't done anything about it. And it wasn't anything to do with buckling track or the heat. It was more to do with the fact that I broke it. Accidentally broke it. But looking at that part of the rail there and that part of the rail there, it possibly does look a little bit on the tight side, to be honest, as if this track has sort of gone out ever so slightly. But obviously that piece of track needs to be replaced anyway. And that, as I said, was an accident when I was cleaning the track. I just went a bit heavy-handed. But looking around, it seems to be generally, I am actually just going down the main line at the moment, to be honest, but as I pan you around with the camera, I am also looking to see the branch line up there as well. I'm having a bit of a glance. You know, it seems to be okay. Main line coming down here. Well, the tracks do seem to be, I say straight, but obviously you know what I mean. There doesn't appear to be anything. Oh, what's that there? Is that a bit of a kerfuffle? I'm not sure. Might see that this track does look a little bit tight, I'll be honest. It might be wise to take that fish plate back and just grind a little bit out. I can do that. But generally speaking, it seems okay, just with a little bit here and there. So I think that's going to be my first job. Okay, now what I've removed said piece of track, and the piece just came off the sleepers. And I've gone rummaging in a box of bits, and I've found this piece, which is long enough. Now, as you look at it, it's all a bit hit and miss underneath there. I'm not worried by that because the track is stable enough to support itself in this case. I think it'll be all right. Now you might be wondering, why have I cut this at an angle? Well, because there's a board join across there, and the idea is that this could come out and this could come out if need be by sliding the fish plates back. It's possible that your tracks have warped a little bit and you're wondering, what do I do with this? Well, I'm literally just going to lie the piece of track, this rail next to this rail and this rail next to this rail, and I'm going to mark the edge of the track on the new piece so I can see. So I've marked on the two pieces of track there, the two marks, with a pen, and I just used a Sharpie for that. And I am going to cut it, leaving a small gap. Now, because it's hot weather at the moment, you don't have to leave a very big gap, because obviously as autumn approaches, then we go into winter, the track's only going to contract. So therefore the gaps will open up all the more. I'm not sure I feel comfortable leaving no gap, because if the weather gets hotter than this in the future, then that's just going to ping again, and I really don't want that to happen. So I think leaving a small gap is probably wise. Now, to cut it, I am going to use the Dremel. You can use track cutters if you want, which are a bit like snips. I use one of these attachments for the Dremel, which is just there. Other brands are available, obviously, but I use a big disc because it's bigger than that bit, and then I can go in and cut the track square as opposed to going in and cutting it at an angle. I think 9 times out of 10 it'll be fine by cutting at an angle, but there'll be that odd occasion where something doesn't line up properly and the overhang will cause a derailment. So I will get that done and I'll come back to you shortly. There we go, that's the piece. It's not in, but it's kind of, you can see the gap that I've left there, which is probably about 1 millimetre. And then when I bring it up, I'm just going to move it across so the gap is at both ends. Done. Right, so I'm going to move on to cleaning the track now. I've done this little bit down here as well. That just needed moulding back into place, to be fair, didn't need cutting out. Now, for getting into the station, as you can appreciate, getting in underneath there is going to be a bit of a problem. I could take off all the canopies, but they come off easily, but to get them all back on again, it can be a little bit fiddly. So I'm going to use a telescopic thingy bob. Now I can buy this thing separately. Don't ask me where you got it from, I can't remember. But if you trawl the internet for track cleaning devices, you'll come across things which are very similar. I think Tidy Tracks is similar to this Bachmann thing, but it is quite expensive for what it is. And then on top of that, it's a bit like an old-fashioned car aerial, to be honest. I can't remember what it was I bought, but literally a bit of gaffer tape around there, and then dip that into isopropyl alcohol and give it a rub over the tracks all the way up, right up in there. It'll be absolutely fine. Now, obviously the big thing that you can notice is that all the overhead gantries are in place. Now, I am going to be switching those out to my portable system. If I bring you over here, in fact here, you'll see that there is a little socket in the ground, and as I pull it out, you'll see there's a socket there and a socket there, and they literally just slot in, and that works very, very nicely. I 3D print all my gantries, and that is another job that needs to be done, because a lot of these have broken, and you can see all that one's split out as well, so that just needs gluing back. But some of these have had the stanchion arms break off and all sorts of bits and bobs, so that will be another job. I don't know whether you can make out, but there is some isopropyl alcohol in there, so all I'm going to do is dip that in there and then just give it a rub over the tracks, and then obviously as I go further in, I can extend this thing out. I've removed all the gantries, as I said I would. They've got to come off anyway, and I'm just going to remove all of them from the whole layout just to make this track cleaning job a lot easier. Well, it's become quite obvious really that I need to be able to see what I'm doing, so I've resulted in taking off all the canopies. They're just stored away. They will need some repair. They're not, some of the bits have come unglued, so I'll need to glue all that down. But, you know, the jobs list is building. There's no question of that. But whilst it's off, the canopies, that is, you can see what the interior of the station is like with all the escalators and the steps, and obviously the main footbridge going across here. There's the ramp there. And there's a building just there. Going across to platform 12. But one of the biggest things that I've discovered is there is a step across all the tracks there. It's quite minute, but it nevertheless caught the edge of that track cleaning device I showed you. And I have noticed in the past trains have got caught there. So I don't know whether you can see that, but it is a noticeable step there. So I'm trying to decide what to do. To be honest, I could just grind the tracks down to meet it. I think to try and realign the boards would be a bit of a pain. I'm not sure how easy or hard that would be. I'll have to see. But you know, it is an issue that I need to address if this layout's going to work properly. The other thing as well is these boards or oil trays that are in Manchester Piccadilly. I don't know whether they're still there, so if anybody's able to tell me whether they're still there or not. But when I made these initially, I just got the 3D printer and I was getting used to it. And this was one of the first things I printed. And to be honest with you, they're too deep and they catch the trains coming out. I mean, you can see I've taken the top of the paint off with just the track cleaning device. So they are too tall for the tracks. So I could perhaps have another go at remaking those. And I think I could probably do a better job now. But now a bit more used to the 3D printers. But one of the best ways to check a track's working or not is to run a loco on it. Gratefully, when I turned Z21 on, there was no shorts or anything like that. Now, that's implying there's a dead track there, because that's happened twice, so I'm going to go and get the track tester. No, I haven't. If I put it on that one, you can see I have there, and I have there. So what's happened to that track? Right, I've just done some investigations, and it is this track that doesn't have the power. This one does. So somehow I've got to get the power from this track to this track. So that means getting the soldering iron out. Well, this is turning out to be quite a feat, really, and I've only got to platform 3. So as you can see there, I've just put a bit of wire in there, and to be honest with you, I think that looks absolutely fine. You do find bits of wire all over the place, so you know, I'm just adding to it. But anyway, when I run said 68 down this track, which is platform 1, I got to there. So the locomotive had entered the first bogie, no problem. Second bogie stopped just as it touched that point. And it was basically that fish plate had failed. So it's a case of scraping on the sides of the track. Tried to loosen the fish plate and get it to move slightly, and then it's been absolutely fine. So it's just a case of just wiggling things about. And I think even if a track doesn't buckle, a fish plate can expand or contract, whatever, and can cause a piece of track to suddenly not have connection. So, you know, with a layout of this size, I'm not going to wire up every single piece of track. It would take literally forever. And not only that, is space under the boards for all the connections. So I've got quite a few, and I think those quite a few is quite enough. Right, I'm nearly there, but I have come across a bit of an issue with that back seam though. It is looking a bit worse for wear, but if you can see, it's actually tilting out quite badly, and I've got a feeling that the trains would foul that. So what I've decided to do is there's a bracket here, a London bracket, so I'll put a cable tie in behind it, drilled a hole through the back seam just there, and I'm just going to nip that up like that. I'll show you in a minute. Voila. I know that looks a bit unsightly, but when you're about here, you don't notice it. So, you know, I think that'll be fine. What it has highlighted is that there is a subtle difference between what I painted, which is there, and what's actually on the back seam just there. So it might just need a little bit of touching up just here, just to sort of blend those two together, but we'll see. That's quite minor. Right, now you can also see, as I said, that all the gantries have just literally been scattered all over the place purely to get to the track. But let's see if it works, shall we? Well, there it is then. So as you can see, I finished cleaning the track. That took quite a long time, and vacuumed it all because it was absolutely filthy with dust, grime and detritus, basically bits of scenery that had gone all over the track. So, you know, it wasn't going to run well with all that there. But anyway, so the objective of this video was to get trains running, and yes, it is the same 4 trains running as in the last video you saw many months ago. But nevertheless, I must say that is amongst my favourite trains. It really is. I'd love one in 00, but you know, they cost an arm and a leg, don't they? But that's assuming I could find one, of course. But anyway, it has highlighted quite a few different jobs that need to be done. Maintenance on Piccadilly is quite enormous, as you can see. All these bits have come off, and there's other bits that are just literally flaking. That bit there's up. There's loads of bits on the canopies, they need cleaning down. All sorts of different jobs here and there. And one of the other things that has happened over the last couple of years is that the lighting, station lighting, doesn't work at the moment. As well, I'm in the process of replacing the insole frog points. Now I'm looking, there's one there, and I'm looking now and I can't see them. There's another one just there, and so on and so on and so on. There's about 6 or 7, I think, still in this area here. So I want to get those swapped out for electro frogs, and get frog juicers put onto those, and the objective would be to try and put point motors on if I can. There's also this bridge that needs to be made, which is not only the bridge from here to there, but it's also going to double as a big signal gantry going across Piccadilly. You may remember this 185, which I made last year, and I'm really happy with it, although I do want to have another go at the body now. I've got a resin printer, and when I made this, it dawned on me that it's not quite the same livery as that, which is what it should be. And you can see that that is silver and that is a mucky grey blue. So it spoils the image a little bit, I think. This, by the way, is going because I think I'd rather trade it and wait for the TPE version coming soon, which is due soon. I might even get rid of one of these as well. Keep one and get rid of the other one. I don't need two. So that will bring a little bit of money back into the system. The one or the three, I've forgotten what it is now, 323. Again, same sort of thing. I'm very happy with it in the one sense, but I think I could probably do a little bit better. We'll see. I might be able to. Now I've got the resin printer, although having said that, the detail's not too bad on that, to be fair, is it? Considering it's N gauge, I'm quite happy with that, to be honest. It is going to be due for a decoder upgrade. I've got some of the AE decoders now, and certainly more coming with stay alives, and it definitely needs to stay alive, as will that. You know, so there's different jobs that need to be done. So there's two jobs there to have another go at those, and there's loads of other bits and bobs. Oh yes, the this train here. You might remember millions of years ago, I did say that I was struggling to have the standard motor unit pull the 8 cars, and I said I would be looking for a vehicle that I could use as a donor chassis. And I did find one at a show. It must be 2 years ago, I'm ashamed to say, it must be, that I found a bubble car, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in the next few weeks. So, well, actually, probably one of the next videos, to be honest. I really do want this up and running, because I think that will be a spectacular train going up and down. I see the chap at Stafford Station's got two coupled together, and they look so impressive running as a double. So I do want to get that going as well. Also, the 66 I bought a little while ago, I've got the decoder for it, so it's just a case of getting that fitted and then building up the train with the silver bullets as well. So there's loads and loads of little bits and bobs here and there. You may remember at the Christmas video I talked about the lift and transferring it into a big long ramp. That's not going to happen this time around, I'm afraid. It was probably a long shot when I said that. It's going to cost too much at the moment, and it's going to take a lot of work, and I'm not prepared to do that at the moment. And I also, when I was at a show recently, saw that Prozis, the company, I think they're a German company, were actually going to make a train lift, which is a little bit more dedicated than what I had with my Heath Robinson actuator. So I may go down that route, but they are quite expensive. We'll see how it goes when they come out and all that sort of stuff. But it did look promising, I have to be honest. As long as I can get a train, as long as I can get something like that to go up and down on it, that should be all right. But we'll see how it goes. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed the video, seeing Piccadilly come back to life again. And I will catch you again very, very soon here on Piccadilly. Take care of yourself, and bye for now.